Hi, this is Kimball Bullington, and we're looking at the analyze phase of DMAIC. We're going to look at, in the first section, we'll look at root cause analysis, so trying to find the ultimate causes of whatever the issues are that we're dealing with. We're going to look at three phases. First, we're going to look at explore, and in this, we try to keep an open mind. Quite often we go into problem solving believing we already know the issue, and that just blinds us to the real issues. So I worked in a company making bathtubs, and when I first joined the company, they were showing me different types of defects. So we had pinholes, we had cracks, we had a defect called dirt. And the cause for dirt, as it was explained to me, was that basically you had mold wear. So you have these molds that are coming together and with shear edges that basically like rub against each other. And so the idea was that a little bit of the chrome is coming off, and it's manifesting as this dark defect. Didn't look that way to me. But I was assured by people that knew the process a lot better than me that was the reason. You fast forward about 2 years, and we're having a dirt problem, and of course nobody knows what to do about it. And I went out to the press, and I just didn't buy that, and went behind the press where we had the raw material and started looking at it, and found these little bitty bubbles of black. It was carbon black. Some of our pigment had not mixed well, and that was what was causing the dirt. It had been causing it all along, but because we didn't have an open mind, we spent years not solving it. We solved that problem in a week. And the next phase is generating hypothesis about causes. What are the most likely causes? And then finally verifying the causes through experimentation, through piloting, and so on. We want to verify which causes are vital. That's actually a sort of a technical term that comes from Pareto analysis. The 20% of the causes that cause us 80% of our problems, those are referred to as the vital few, as opposed to the trivial many. So let's dive into explore. In each case, in each phase, we're going to look at both data analysis and process analysis. So our tools, at least some of our tools, and I refer to a book by Pandey, but the little yellow belt book that you have, the memory jogger, it has a similar breakdown. So Pareto charts, run charts, histograms could be some of the data that'll help us to explore. When we sort the data in this decreasing frequency diagram, then quite often the vital few just jump out at you. So we love Pareto analysis. Same is true in cost analysis. Quite often, looking at it with a pie chart, I would still look at Pareto, but looking at it with a pie chart or displaying it as a pie chart is a way, again, to sort of just let the data speak. Now this is an unusual, you probably have never seen this particular tool called a stakeholder analysis. And essentially it's a before or current state and future state analysis of people or groups, sort of a political analysis, if you will. What level of commitment do they have now? And where do we need for them to be? Not everybody needs to be an enthusiastic supporter. Sometimes if people will just let us go, just won't argue with us, that would be a win. That would be a fantastic win. But we sort of look at where they are and where they go, and that may sort of guide the rest of the solution for the project. In the explore phase, we look at process analysis. We look again at our good friends process maps. Sometimes swim lanes, Dr. Cliff and I refer to swim lanes, but sometimes swim lanes are referred to as deployment maps or deployment charts. And then audits are another way process audits are another way for us to analyze processes. Can't say enough about process maps. Why? So they help us to create a common understanding. When we have a picture in front of us that we can all agree to, then we're more likely to be at a point where we understand it. They clarify steps in a process. They may actually help us identify improvement opportunities. So if they're incredibly complex, then that cries out for simplification. If we see rework, where we have a case where is it good or bad, and if it's bad, we turn around and rework it, and maybe sometimes we're just doing that all the time. We may see delays, especially if you're using the swim lane or deployment charts, you're liable to see delays. Bottlenecks you'll see if you're also including some measure of inventory along the way. You uncover problems in the process. You reveal how the process operates. You can build a consensus on how a process actually operates or how it should operate. And at processes, we can look at bottlenecks, sources of delays, errors being fixed instead of prevented, role ambiguity, especially in a swim lane chart. You say, well, who does this? And sometimes there's argument about who does it. Duplications, unnecessary steps. So approvals are one example of unnecessary steps. I'm not saying all approvals are unnecessary, but quite often they are. If I take a document to a certain manager for their signature, it has to wait for them, and sometimes has to wait a long time in a queue, in an inbox. And then if we examine it and say, well, do they reject it? And say, no, they never reject it. Well, wonderful. We've just found some time we can eliminate. Cycle times, which especially in a value stream map, we see this. Dropped handoffs. So whenever we're passing in a deployment chart, in a swim lane chart, whenever we're passing off between functions, that's an opportunity for dropped handoffs. Look at the decisions. Do we know who is the person who makes the decisions? And are decisions even needed at this point? And we see this again in swim lanes when we cross boundaries. All right, next on the agenda, we'll have generating hypotheses.